Sorry I've been away for so long. I have some pressing matters to attend to, but I am back. Much like the British Railway network right now, I've decided it was the perfect time for a massive rebrand and a complete change up and around how things operate here. Now, without any further ado, let's get into the video. Today I am at an underground station in London. Now you might think, oh yeah, underground station in London, not underground. If you look down, it looks like your normal London Underground train. It's platform. I'm not going to show it, but it has Johnson 100 writing on the walls, which is associated with the London Underground. But this is not a London Underground station, as I will explain. I'm also joined today by my co-host, Drayton Park. If you're surprised, why? It's in the name, NetworkSealEast. Anyway, I should probably get the train because I don't want to miss the next one in half an hour. It all started in 1904. The Great Northern and City Railway opened a deep level route from Moorgate to Finsbury Park. Unlike standard tubes, they built massive 16-foot wide tunnels, fully intending for heavy mainline trains to drive straight underground into the City of London. But money ran out, the mainline trains never arrived, and the line was less standard. Struggling to survive, the route was bought by the Metropolitan Railway in 1913. They had grand plans to link it up with the Circle Line and finally bring those mainline trains south. But World War I hit, the plans were completely scrapped, and for the next 20 years, the route was just sat on the map as an isolated, neglected orphan railway. By 1939, London Transport had taken over, officially slapping it onto the tube map as a weird disconnected branch of the Northern Line. This led to the most absurd era of its history. Tiny, standard-sized 1938 tube stock trains rattling around inside these massive, echoing mainline tunnels, shuttling passengers back and forth with absolutely no connection to the wider Northern Line. But in 1964, disaster struck. To make way for a brand new Victoria Line, engineers completely severed the route, kicking it out of Finsbury Park and terminating it early at Drayton Park. The Victoria Line swept in and literally hijacked those empty underground platforms. It's exactly why today you can step off the platform at Highbury to instantly swap between lines. Left as a useless tube shuttle, London Underground finally gave up and handed the keys to British Rail in 1975. Engineers finally did what was promised in 1904. They built a ramp at Drayton Park, dragging the tracks out of the tunnels and connected them to the East Coast Main Line. The route returned to Finsbury Park, but this time completely above ground. Today, the route is run by Great Northern. Those legendary British rail trains held on for over 40 years, but they've finally been replaced by sleek, modern 717s. Because they run through standard tubes, they're custom built with emergency doors on the front to comply with deep-level safety rules, seamlessly transitioning from mainline service down into the dark tunnels at Drayton Park. But the Northern City Line's identity crisis might not be over yet. Transport for London has repeatedly pitched taking over these inner suburban services. If that happens, this line could eventually turn bright orange and join the London Overground network, bringing these rogue independent tunnels right back under the control of a tube map once again. I am on the 11 train out of Moorgate, which I can now say without giving anything away. I will be heading to Finsbury Park, which is where this route terminated back in 1904. I will be getting off at each station along the way to review its past and what's actually there. So Follow me for more. I'm now at Old Street. Most people know this as a station on the Northern Line. However, it's also part of the Northern City Line. The second I walked off the train at this station, Old Street, I got a real sense of eeriness and it being locked in time, which is really echoed by the old NetworkSoutheast tiling, which is still here. When you think about it, just under 40 or so years ago, there would have been Northern Line trains running through these platforms. And nowadays you get massive mainline 717s heading through, which have been specifically designed for the working the tunnels with their front end doors. We're going to go have a look around and I'll take you all with me, but it's very unnerving, not all helped by the echoes of Northern Line itself. Northern Line platforms of Old Street. Even though so many people use the Northern Line as a way to connect, get to commute, it still feels really empty. The corridors, the platforms, the stairwells, everything, they just feel off, like something's wrong. It's almost like a setting of a horror film or something. To be fair, I think I could actually do a good job of being the setting of a horror film. I have no signal whatsoever, and my train's in 4 minutes, so I probably should try and aim to get that. Otherwise I'm stranded here for another half hour, and don't really particularly like that, given how strange the station is. how spooky it is. I headed back to the platforms, the National Rail platforms at Aldgate after multiple attempts. It really feels like a maze. With the Northern Line, it really feels like a maze of tunnels sort of combined together. My gut instinct was that this station was used as a bunker during World War II, because down, I think I got a video of it, down by between the Northern Line and the National Rail platforms, there are two massive, very thick metal doors which can swing together to sort of corner off an area. So that's my gut instinct for the station. It sort of reminds me of the Jubilee Line platforms at Charing Cross. But the main difference between these two is with Charing Cross there were no trains running to it. With Old Street, there's a regular Northern Line service and a 15 minutes, on a good day that is, without fire, a regular service to Finsbury Park and Moorgate. So it's interesting. It also still feels like it's stuck back in time, like Moorgate. You still have the old platforms, the old branding. It's strange, it's a very strange line. But what if I had one word to describe Old Street, my one word would be this: don't. It's a nightmare to work around. It's a nice station if you like creepy. Now, also one other thing. The train which I thought was the 11:20 was going to Moorgate. So I'm waiting till 11:40 to get the next train up to my next point, which I'm pretty sure is Essex Road. And that station holds a completely different story. But a bit similar in the same way, because it's on the same line. Now I must wait. And wait.
Platform 3 of the 11:34 Great Northern service to Welling Garden City. This train is formed of 6 coaches called at Essex Road, Highbury and Islington.
Sundays from July, service to be offered for the Carousel at all in Moorgate, London. Travel will 5 a.m. on Monday 13:55 and 5 a.m. on Monday 13:55, buses and trains and both these two station posts will regularly close on the land.
I want to hear when an announcement interrupts you. But if I thought that Old Street was a bit of a time capsule, then Essex Road fully takes that trophy. Still got its NetworkSoutheast branding on it. It's mad, nothing's changed since 1975. Sorry I didn't get a time lapse between Old Street and Essex Road. Didn't actually have a window seat. Didn't have any seat. Well, yeah, I'm gonna take a look around now. see what Essex Road has to offer. If I thought that Old Street was the eeriest station of this line, I would be wrong. If I thought Old Street was the quietest station of this line, I would be wrong. In both respects, Essex Road is much more the winner. Since it only has Network Rail, which I'll talk about later, it only sees one train every 15 minutes. And so you don't get the echoes from the Northern Line shaking the platforms at its foundation. Also, when it comes to passengers, I've only seen one other passenger since I've been here, and I've been here for like 10 minutes now. I am currently in the spiral staircase of Essex Road. It sort of looks more like a lift shaft, which was used at some point, and it's sort of like something you see hidden away and walk to one corner of the station. I'm going to go up this and talk from the top. Was a lot of stairs. Don't know, I didn't count how many there were, I'll check later. Also, I've now seen 3 people at the station. I know it's a massive number, 3 people. One of the things, the paint literally peeling off these walls. That shows how old and how much of a time capsule this station is. One thing which is unique about Essex Road is that it is the only deep level station in London without a tube connection. Every other station which is deep level on London Underground has a main line, has a London Underground connection. Essex Road is the exception to that. That's why you don't feel any of the tremors and anything whenever you're walking around Essex Road, because there is nothing to create those tremors besides the Network Rail trains. But since those are so cushioned, I'm pretty sure, you can't feel them. and when you do feel them, they're not as heavy as, say, the London Underground trains. I'm pretty sure I missed a train when I was walking up these stairs, so since I've not really got anything to rush for, I'm gonna probably walk up to the top, see the sunlight, since that's something I've not seen for a while since I've gone train up Victoria. And then I'm probably gonna head up to my next stop, which I'm pretty certain is Highbury and Islington. Now that is another story in itself. Wait, no, maybe I had 2 trains I missed. So okay, so I really don't in a rush. As I'm leaving Essex Road for Highbury and Islington, I would like to take a minute to talk about what this railway has actually done for railways overall. This line was used to test electric in-cab signalling, which is now used across the whole of the East Coast Main Line. So this line was used for like a testing ground, because not many people use it, do they? So sort of test if it was successful or not, and whether it should be rolled out in general. Now, thanks to it, we are getting railways are becoming much more efficient.
Shortly be arriving at Highbury and Islington.
Because
Switch here for London Overground services and the Victoria line.
Please mind the gap between the train and the platform.
Because it requires a lot less infrastructure if you can just have it digitally in the cab, which is what this railway line has shown. Anyway, I seem to be getting nearer to Highbury and Islington, so I should probably get off the train now. That was 1-1-0-1. That doesn't matter though. You might notice that I'm at Highbury and Islington now. The reason I'm on the underground platforms rather than the Northern City Line platforms is because these originally were the Northern City Line platforms. Oh wait, I only have 1 minute to do this. If I don't keep getting interrupted by Victoria Line trains, I will continue. The reason I'm here is on the underground platforms is because before this was taken over by the Northern Line, these were the Northern City Line platforms. The Victoria Line came into here and Northern City Line got cut back. The Victoria Line was extended up to Finsbury Park. I'll wait for the third number. Originally, the line went all the way down to Drayton Park, which is the next stop on the line. However, when the Victoria Line came up to Finsbury Park, they had to find platforms to put it in. And again, right. since at that time, the Northern City Line was on the patrol of the Northern Line, they had two perfectly viable platforms to run it on. So what they did was they took the trains from the Northern City Line platform, which is where I am sitting, and put them to where they are now, which are the new platforms, which were built later. I'm gonna go before that third train leaves, because that's gonna be chaos. Don't know where there's so many trains. Now, one feature of this sort of swap, this exchange, is that you have the northbound platform of the Network Rail platform, the Northern City Line, on one side, and then for like a 2-minute walk, right onto the other side, you have the northbound platforms of the Victoria Line. For some reason, it's running at a very high frequency today. I'm not exactly sure why. And then another. Sorry, just very big breeze from that train. And then the southbound platforms for both these trains are further down here, as I will show you. And that's why you have the southbound platforms here, down towards Moorgate and up towards Drayton Park. Not exactly sure which way is northbound, which way is southbound. And then you have the Victoria Line on this side of the concourse.
Yeah.
This sort of swap from in the 1960s sort of means that neither line has their southbound platform in the same place. They're sort of like strewn across the whole station, which gives the Highbury and Islington a really strange layout, which is what is similar to nearly every one of these stations on the North City Line, but all in their own respects. Not any one is the same. Now before we get back to my station, I train for the next station. Not sure on the next train is, but I'll have a look. This platform's slightly more busy than the other platforms I've been on. Probably because of its free external connections to the Victoria Line, Windrush Line and Moorgate Line. One thing I would like to point out is this, I'm pretty sure, is the signalling equipment which I was talking about earlier, that is now in use across the ECML. Because if you look at it, it says laser hazard, and that's a radio transmitter. So, yeah. One other thing I would like to mention is, over here, there is a plug point. Now back when this was the Northern Line, drivers would have had a phone which they could plug into the wires and directly tap into the control room. Now they're usually phased out by now, but that's an example of a relic which is no longer here, around. But that's basically it with the whole of this line. And now it's my train. Finsbury Park has three things which none of the other stations on the Northern City Line have in the present day. Well, besides Finsbury Park has them as well. Number one is overhead wires, for one. In the tunnels, they use third rail. They can't really put in an overhead wire unless they were to take the Thameslink approach to it, in which they use when they're going through the city, which is to put a metal rod in the top of the tunnel, so then the trains can connect to them on the pantographs. However, that doesn't really work for deep level tunnels, because the trains barely fit in them on their own. I don't think they're going to really fit in with pantographs on them. That's what the designers, when they had to modernise the line, thought. They couldn't really fit a train with a pantograph up into the tunnel, so they use third rail instead. So this station has both third rail down there and overhead wire. The second thing which both Finsbury Park technically and Drayton Park have, which none of the other stations have, are conventional signals, like the ones here. In the tunnels, they use in-cab signalling, as I've already mentioned. However, here they don't need to. It's more of a hassle to have it here. Then you've got to replace the whole line, because this is the bit which connects to the East Coast Main Line. So they just ditched the idea of having in-cab signalling on this section. So this technically, think about it, now that you've got in-cab signalling on the whole of ECML now, is one of the only sections on the East Coast Main Line with conventional signalling with lights. When you think about it that way, it does have a bit more significance than you might think. The third thing that this station does have, which all the other stations beside Finsbury Park don't have, is pretty simple: sunlight. In 1975, the engineers of British Rail took the tube lines from the deep level tunnels down at Highbury and Islington and took them up to the station at Drayton Park. Then they constructed a ramp to take the trains from Drayton Park up to Finsbury Park, fulfilling the role of the Northern City Line, which was outlined over 75 years ago. Now this significance meant that trains could easily shuttle from all the way down from Letchworth and Stevenage down into the centre of London at Moorgate. Now this still happens today, and is really a big factor of getting people into the City of London. However, unfortunately, it's not really used much. One other thing which I've noticed about Drayton Park is that it does feel very stuck in time, like all the other stations. However, it doesn't give off that eerie, spooky, gloomy sort of feel that there's somebody right behind you or something bad's going to happen at any minute. It has more of an airy, vintage atmosphere to it. You've got that portcullis roof, and it's an island platform, which you barely get in London nowadays. It's a nice station. Now I've got to just wait. Oh, you've also got a freight line up there, I forgot to mention that. And there's a train coming in right now, which I won't be able to show from this way, but you'll see it coming fast. I'll just let that go through. enjoyed the Northern Sea Line. It was an interesting journey, stranger parts, area others, well, area overall, and a real trip back in time to see how it was back in 1904, 1960, 1914, all the different time periods that have been stored in the DNA of that line, or as I like to call it, the lines that London forgot.
Thank you.